All right, guys, so we got to talk about the mainstream liberal media reaction to the FBI warrant being unveiled, showing that Trump was under investigation for potential violations or alleged violations of the Espionage Act. And I told you guys that this reaction that we're going to talk about here was coming because the mainstream liberal media and the Democrat Party truly think that their base is dumb, right? They think that their base is stupid, okay? That's what they think. Because they think that when people hear the word espionage, that means traitor, right? It means that Trump was a traitor to this country, okay? And that he was trafficking nuclear secrets to our foreign enemies like Russia, okay? They were going to find a way to tie it back to Russia. And lo and behold, we have Miss Tiffany Cross, a.k.a. Miss Joy Reid Light, a.k.a. Miss Joyless Reid, who goes on her show, a show that nobody watches, okay? And basically states exactly what I told you guys the mainstream liberal media would start saying after the FBI warrant was released, which is that Trump is supposedly, allegedly trafficking secrets to the Russians, right? Nuclear secrets, okay? As the Washington Post, with no evidence whatsoever, is claiming that the FBI recovered files, or they were looking for files related to nuclear secrets. Not only that, she also says she can't wait to see Trump perp walked, right? Arrested and perp walked as well. Again, these are the people that claim they want unity. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and roll this clip. Take a look.
I think a lot of people, Roland, want to show the difference in this country, the difference in the justice system that many people navigate. I think a lot of people do want to see, Donald Trump, handcuffed like an episode of Cops and walking out.
Perp walk,
so,
absolutely.
Right. We want to see a perp walk Donald Trump, and we may not see that.
That might happen in Georgia with Fannie Willis.
Okay, so as we mentioned, the Washington Post may have had the scariest headline about the Mar-a-Lago search this week, and that's that the paper reported the FBI was looking for missing documents related to nuclear weapons. Now, that's according to people familiar with the investigation. Again, NBC News has not confirmed that. And of course, Donald Trump has denied it. But if it were true, it leads to a whole set of new questions. So I have some right now for our guest. Joining me is Andy Weber. He's a senior fellow with the Council on Strategic Risk. He's also a former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Nuclear, Chemical, and Biological Defense Programs. And the great Glenn Kirshner is still staying with us as well. Andy, I do want to get started with you because material about nuclear weapons is especially sensitive and usually restricted to a small number of government officials. How exactly is it possible that they were even allowed to be handled so recklessly? And what could Trump have been doing with these documents? Like, who stands to gain? What would he be doing taking these documents out of the White House? Who on the world stage would have the most to gain from this information? I mean, you think about Donald Trump's relationships with the Saudis, his relationship with the Russians, and the fact that he really appears to have no allegiance to America. He has allegiance to his sycophants, but certainly not to this democracy. If someone were to ask you, like, who stands the most to gain from this information, give me a guess of who might that be.
Well, we don't know what information was in these documents, but my best guess would be President Putin would stand the most to gain to having access to our most classified nuclear weapons information.
Which is a frightening thought, Glenn. So given that this could really be a situation of where you're a traitor, he's actually a traitor to America, what might the punishment, if it is confirmed that he was trafficking our information around nuclear weapons, which is a huge deal, what might the punishment for something like that be? How would the DOJ go about prosecuting something like that?
Well, the punishment under the statute that is cited in the search warrant materials it's a 10-year federal felony, a violation of 793.
Yeah, there you have it. Exactly like I told you guys what would happen after the Washington Post released their unsubstantiated, unproven claims that the FBI were looking for nuclear documents. Again, what does that mean? Who knows, okay? It could be top secret nuclear weapons information, or it could be something about the Iran deal, right? It can be all types of things. We don't really know, okay? It could have nothing to do with nuclear. But that doesn't stop people like Tiffany Cross from going out here on TV and speculating, telling her audience, misinforming her audience, and suggesting that Trump was could be trafficking nuclear secrets to Putin, right? To the Russians, okay? It's Russiagate all over again. But the crazy part is that that's not even the worst take that I've seen in regards to the whole Trump Russia thing, as this guy, Michael Belchloss, whom is a historian for NBC, suggested that Trump could be executed for doing this, okay? Doing something that has not been proven that he's done, right? He says Rosenbergs were convicted for giving U.S. nuclear secrets to Moscow and were executed June 1953, right? That is what this guy is saying, okay? And he tweeted that in response to the FBI raid. Yeah, like I told you guys, this is Russia all over again. That is what this is. In the mainstream liberal media, I guarantee you come tomorrow, Monday, when they really start, covering this again, okay? Yeah, that is what is going to be the speculation. Oh, it's Trump giving away nuclear secrets to Russia. When I didn't hear any of this speculation when Hillary Clinton was under investigation for the exact same thing, okay? I didn't hear any speculation about her potentially giving documents away to our foreign allies, okay? Even though she was keeping them on a private server. Why? Who knows? For what? Could Hillary be a traitor? Right? Could Hillary, be one of these people who could be convicted of giving away U.S. secrets? I didn't hear anybody in the right-wing media suggesting that Hillary should be executed for that, right? Like this guy is suggesting about Trump. I didn't hear that, okay? But we do know if the right-wing media would have said anything close to that, we all know how the left-wing liberal media would have reacted. They would have lost their minds. Kind of the same way they've lost their minds about criticism of the FBI and the Attorney General of the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland.
Well, it's very, very difficult. This is all in a polarized environment, which this environment right now is so dangerous and delicate, and it's so supercharged with calls for violence. That's why I think, as somebody who's been watching this for years, this Attorney General must have really, scrutinized this question of going in for a search and then bringing it to a judge this week. That's why I personally don't think, based on my knowing this Attorney General and our covering of him, that he's somebody who would have allowed this to happen in a rash way, because he had to know that as soon as this happened, it would supercharge a supercharged environment. And in fact, that's what we saw. As soon as President Trump put out confirmation on Monday that the raid had been done and was underway, we immediately started seeing factions on the far right, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, militia organizers, calling for violence, as they always have done, against Jews. The Attorney General is Jewish. Against the FBI, federal law enforcement, against other perceived enemies they perceived to be enemies of President Trump. It was like clockwork. And then by the next morning, there was already a body of evidence online of this really ugly, terrible, violent rhetoric that had law enforcement incredibly concerned. You cannot believe for a second that the Attorney General and his senior staff at the Justice Department, that they at all were blind to what was going to happen in the wake of this type of a search.
Yeah, so according to the guy who's concerned about extreme rhetoric, right? Polarized rhetoric. People who criticize Merrick Garland, they're criticizing him because he's Jewish, right? And therefore, that makes you a neo-Nazi white supremacist, okay? Again, these are the people that say we need to tone down the rhetoric while also escalating the rhetoric, right? While escalating the polarization. And Ms. Tiffany Cross here wants to talk about a two-tier justice system, right? She'll talk about, well, how we're going to see how the justice system treats Trump versus others. You mean others like Hillary Clinton, whom the FBI let get away with the exact same crime, even though she purposely tried to basically destroy the evidence?
Somebody who is absolutely disqualified from becoming president. They destroyed BlackBerries with hammers in the State Department. That's not what we want the presidency.
Actually,
and by the way,
Evan, hold on. Can you fact check that? Hang on, Evan Perez. Hammers, fact check that for me, please, on the fly.
Yes, they did, Brooke. As you mentioned, there were 13 devices, mobile devices, and 5 iPads that the FBI said that, in some way were used with her private email server, and they did, in some cases, just destroy them with hammers when they were done using them.
That's a pretty good way of just.
When I look at the facts we gathered here, as I said, I see evidence of great carelessness, but I do not see evidence that is sufficient to establish that Secretary Clinton or those with whom she was corresponding both talked about classified information on email and knew when they did it, they were doing something that was against the law. Right? So given that assessment of the facts, my understanding of the law, my conclusion was and remains, no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. No reasonable prosecutor would bring the second case in 100 years focused on gross negligence. And so I know that's been a source of some confusion for folks. That's just the way it is. I know the Department of Justice. I know no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. I know a lot of my former friends are out there saying they would. I wonder where they were the last 40 years, because I'd like to see the cases they brought on gross negligence. Nobody would, nobody did.
Yeah, destroying evidence with hammers, okay? Literally destroying evidence, destroying the computers and technology that was used with her private server. But according to the FBI, that's just gross negligence, right? And no reasonable prosecutor would charge Hillary Clinton with any type of crime, right? And Tiffany Cross wants to talk about a, justice system that's skewed in favor of certain people. Because in my opinion, if that's the standard, right? If you can literally destroy evidence, okay, and then turn around and have the FBI say, well, she was just being negligent, right? Just gross negligence, right? No reasonable prosecutor will move forward with this. Trump should be in the clear, right? Trump should be in the clear, okay? Because the president saying, look, I declassify these documents and taking it to Mar-a-Lago, that, in my opinion, seems to be like gross negligence, right? If what Hillary did was gross negligence, then what Trump did was definitely gross negligence, okay? And again, we don't have Trump trying to destroy evidence, right? Or allegedly trying to destroy evidence. So, look, with that being said, all I gotta do is say is that this is predictable. This is Russian all over again. The more we see the mainstream liberal media reaction, the more information comes out, the more I am sure that is what this is. This is another hoax. This is another witch hunt. This is just another way to try to bring Trump down, except this time they actually really can't stop the man from running for president, right? And that is the part that is laughable about this whole thing. Because these people, I cannot wait to see their faces when Trump takes the oath of office once again in 2024. I can't wait to see their faces, right? After thinking that this man was going to finally be locked up, thinking that he would be disqualified from ever holding office again. I believe these people are going to be sorely disappointed. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.